Fellow Stoic, they don't want you to know this. True strength is hidden within you, and these 5 signs will prove it. What if I told you that real strength has nothing to do with the size of your muscles or the weight you can lift? Strength is something deeper, something unshakable. It's not about appearances. It's about what lies within, the ability to endure, to rise after setbacks, to master emotions, and to inspire others. This is the truth they don't want you to realize because it makes you unstoppable. Once you know the signs of true strength, no external force can dominate you. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 traits that Stoics, masters of inner resilience, say define unshakable strength. By the end, you will not only recognize these traits in yourself, but you also know how to harness them to take control of your life. If this resonates with you already, like this video and comment yes to claim your inner power. Stay with me until the end. What you'll learn today might just change how you see yourself forever. Strength through endurance. Endurance is one of the most misunderstood qualities of strength. Often, people equate it with simply gritting their teeth and bearing through difficulties as if life is a test of sheer willpower. But the Stoics saw endurance differently, not as an act of blind suffering, but as a deliberate, disciplined response to adversity. It is the quiet, unwavering strength to face life's inevitable hardships with grace and clarity, unshaken by external chaos. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and later crippled, understood endurance deeply. He said, "Man, if you learn from me, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing, you will feel no distress, no anger, no compulsion, no hindrance, but will live undisturbed and free from all distractions." For Epictetus, endurance wasn't just survival, it was freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when you realize that no matter what the world takes from you, it cannot touch your inner peace unless you allow it. Think back on your own life. How many times have you faced challenges that seemed insurmountable in the moment? Perhaps it was the loss of someone you loved, a dream slipping through your fingers, or betrayal that cut deeply. In those moments, it's easy to feel like the weight is too much to bear, like the universe has singled you out for suffering. And yet, here you are, watching this video, breathing, learning, and moving forward. Every one of those moments didn't break you, they built you. They added layers to your strength, like steel forged in fire. The Stoics would tell you that these trials are not punishments, but opportunities. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That hardship you endured, it wasn't a barrier, it was a path. Endurance isn't just about survival. It's about how you choose to view and respond to your circumstances. For the Stoics, this perspective was everything. They recognized that while fortune, the unpredictable forces of life, might throw storms your way, it is your perception of these storms that determines their power. If you see them as insurmountable obstacles, they will crush you. But if you view them as challenges meant to sharpen your character, they become tools for growth. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." When you endure hardship without bitterness, without complaining, you reveal the depths of your inner strength. You become, as Seneca said, like gold purified by fire, more resilient, more radiant. Of course, none of this is easy. Endurance often feels lonely, even isolating. When you're in the middle of the storm, it can feel like no one understands your pain, like the world is moving on while you're left to struggle. But the Stoics remind us that we are never truly alone in our trials. Humanity shares a common thread of suffering. Your endurance is part of a larger human story. Epictetus said, "It is difficulties that show what men are." Therefore, when a difficulty falls upon you, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a rough young man. Why? So that you may become an Olympic conqueror. But it is not accomplished without sweat. This vivid image of life as a wrestling match transforms hardship into a kind of divine training. Each struggle is preparing you for something greater, shaping you into someone who cannot be defeated. Not by life, not by loss, and certainly not by fear. Endurance also teaches us to focus on what truly matters. When life feels overwhelming, our natural response is often to resist, to wish things were different, to obsess over what we cannot control. But this resistance only deepens our suffering. The Stoics believed that the key to enduring well was to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Epictetus put it simply: don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. This doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means aligning yourself with reality, finding strength in the acceptance of what is, and using that strength to move forward with purpose. Take, for example, the metaphor of the Stoic fortress. Seneca described the soul, when free from passions, as a fortress. You will find no way stronger to which you can fly and become invincible. Think about that. A fortress is not built to avoid attacks. It is built to withstand them. When you cultivate endurance, you are building your own inner fortress. Life's storms may batter its walls, but inside, you remain steady, calm, and unshaken. This strength allows you to face anything, not with resignation, but with quiet confidence. Imagine this in your daily life. Perhaps you're dealing with a difficult boss, a financial setback, or the weight of unfulfilled expectations. Instead of seeing these as injustices, what if you saw them as your training ground? Each encounter with adversity is a chance to refine your character. Instead of letting anger or despair consume you, you can choose patience. Instead of running from discomfort, you can face it head-on. This doesn't mean the pain disappears, but it does mean that the pain no longer controls you. It becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Endurance also has a ripple effect. When you endure with grace, you inspire others to do the same. Think about someone in your life who has shown remarkable resilience, a parent who worked tirelessly to provide, a friend who faced illness with courage, or a mentor who refused to give up despite countless setbacks. Their endurance likely gave you strength, a reminder that you too could persevere. This is the power of enduring well. It doesn't just fortify you, it becomes a beacon for others. Finally, endurance ties directly into your greater Stoic purpose. The Stoics believe that our highest goal is to live a virtuous life in harmony with nature, fulfilling the role we were born to play. Endurance is central to this mission. It is through enduring life's hardships that we develop wisdom, courage, and temperance, the very virtues that define a strong, fulfilled person. Every moment of endurance is a step closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. As Marcus Aurelius said, remember, you have been made by nature for endurance, not for ease. So, the next time life tests you, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being shaped. The storm is not your enemy, it is your teacher. And every moment you endure, you are proving to yourself and to the world that your strength is not just hidden, it is unshakable. Comment endure if you've ever surprised yourself with your ability to keep going. Up next, why true strength comes from the courage to be unapologetically yourself. The courage to be yourself. Courage is often pictured as grand acts of heroism, a soldier charging into battle, a firefighter running into a burning building. And while these examples are undeniably brave, the Stoics recognize another form of courage, one that is just as vital but far more often overlooked: the courage to be yourself. In a world that constantly demands you wear masks and fit into molds, being true to yourself is nothing short of revolutionary. This courage is not about defeating an external enemy. It is about resisting the relentless pressure to betray your own principles, values, and identity. Marcus Aurelius understood this struggle when he wrote, "Never regard something as advantageous if it compels you to break your word, lose your self-respect, or hate another person." He knew that staying true to yourself, even when it costs you, is one of the most powerful forms of strength you can possess. Think for a moment about your own life. How many times have you felt the weight of expectations pressing down on you? The unspoken demand to say the right thing in a group, to follow the crowd, to stay silent when your heart was screaming for you to speak. Perhaps it was at work, where going along with a decision felt easier than voicing your opposition. Or maybe it was in a relationship where suppressing your needs seemed safer than risking conflict. These moments may seem small, but they are where courage is born. To stand up and say, "This is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is what I will not compromise on," requires more strength than most people realize. And yet, every time you make that choice, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Authenticity, the Stoics would argue, is not just a personal choice, it is a moral duty. To live in alignment with your true self is to honor the part of you that is most rational, most divine. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the foundation of a life lived with integrity. But the world does not make this easy. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval, to measure our worth by how well we fit in. We learn to chase validation, grades, likes, promotions, forgetting that the only validation that truly matters is our own. The courage to be yourself is the antidote to this toxic cycle. It is the quiet defiance of saying, "I will not let others define me. I will define myself." This kind of courage often comes with a price. Being yourself means accepting that not everyone will understand you, and not everyone will like you. This can be especially painful when the disapproval comes from people you care about, friends, family, colleagues. But the Stoics remind us that what others think of us is beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Why should we care what others think of us if we are doing what is right?" This simple yet profound question cuts to the heart of authenticity. When you let go of the need for approval, you free yourself to live with integrity. You stop being a prisoner to the opinions of others and become the master of your own life. Imagine this courage in action. Picture someone standing at a crossroads in their career, torn between a safe, well-paying job that conflicts with their values and a riskier path that aligns with their passions. The world might tell them to play it safe, to choose security over authenticity, but the Stoics would encourage them to listen to their inner voice, the part of them that knows what is right. Choosing the harder path may lead to uncertainty, but it also leads to self-respect. And self-respect, as Marcus Aurelius noted, is a treasure more valuable than any material gain. But what does this look like in daily life? Sometimes, it's as small as saying no to something that doesn't feel right. Other times, it's as big as walking away from a toxic situation, even when the world tells you to stay. Consider the story of Epictetus, who began life as a slave. Despite his circumstances, he refused to see himself as less than anyone else. He lived with dignity, teaching philosophy even in chains, because he understood that his true self could never be enslaved. His life is a testament to the power of authenticity, a reminder that no external force can take away who you are unless you give it permission. The courage to be yourself also means embracing your imperfections. We live in a culture obsessed with perfection, where flaws are seen as failures and vulnerability is mistaken for weakness. But the Stoics teach us that true strength lies in accepting ourselves as we are, flaws and all. Seneca wrote, "Lay hold of yourself and be your own guide. Seek out the truth within you, not borrowed opinions, but your own, no matter how imperfect they may be." This is not an excuse to stop growing or striving for virtue, but a call to stop pretending. To be yourself is not to be perfect, it is to be real. One of the greatest challenges of authenticity is the fear of rejection. It's a fear that most of us carry, whether we admit it or not. The fear that if people saw the real you, they might walk away. But the Stoics remind us that relationships built on anything other than honesty are illusions. What good is being loved for a version of yourself that isn't true? The people who truly matter, the ones worth having in your life, will accept you for who you are. And if they don't, then their opinions are not worth your peace of mind. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This isn't about seeking ridicule. It's about being willing to let go of the need to be seen as perfect in order to live authentically. In a world that constantly tells you to be more, do more, and achieve more, the courage to be yourself is a radical act. It's a declaration that you are enough as you are, that your worth is not tied to external achievements or validation. This courage doesn't come all at once. It's built in small, everyday moments. Choosing to speak your truth in a meeting, to stand by your values in a difficult conversation, to pursue the life you want instead of the life others expect of you. Every time you make these choices, you strengthen the part of you that cannot be swayed by the tides of public opinion. And this courage has a ripple effect. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Think about the people in your life who inspire you. Chances are, they are not the ones who followed the crowd. They are the ones who stood out, who stayed true to themselves even when it wasn't easy. By being yourself, you become that person for someone else. You become a light in a world that desperately needs authenticity. Ultimately, the courage to be yourself is not just about you. It is about fulfilling your greater purpose. The Stoics believe that we each have a role to play in the grand design of the universe. To play that role well, you must first know who you are and have the courage to live as that person. This is how you contribute to the greater good, not by conforming, but by bringing your unique self to the world. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." And what greater work is there than to live authentically, to be exactly who you are meant to be? So the next time you feel the pull to conform, to silence your voice, or to betray your values for the sake of fitting in, remember this. The world doesn't need another imitation. It needs the real you. Comment courage if you've ever taken a stand for who you are. Next, we'll explore how your setbacks are actually your greatest source of power. You've already seen 2 signs of strength, but the truth is, your greatest power lies in what others might see as weakness. There's a transformative force waiting within your past struggles. If you're ready to uncover it, subscribe to this channel, share this video with someone who needs it, and click the super thanks button to support this mission of inner growth. Resilience, bouncing back stronger. Resilience is one of the most transformative forces in human life. It is a quiet but relentless ability to bounce back after being knocked down, to rise stronger after every fall. The Stoics believe that resilience is not just a tool for survival, it is a path to greatness. Life, they taught, will never stop testing you. It will bring storms, losses, failures, and betrayals. But these trials are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to shape you. Seneca, in his ever-practical wisdom, wrote, "The soul, when free from passions, is a fortress. You will find no way stronger to which you can fly and become invincible." Resilience, then, is not about avoiding adversity. It is about building the inner strength to withstand it, to transform it, and to emerge from it with greater clarity, purpose, and fortitude. Think about your own life. Can you recall a time when the world seemed to collapse around you? Perhaps you faced the heartbreak of losing someone you loved, the humiliation of a failure you couldn't hide, or the crushing weight of a dream that slipped through your fingers. In those moments, the pain feels endless, like a storm that will never pass. But now, with distance, you may see those same moments in a new light. Maybe losing that job forced you to discover your independence. Maybe that heartbreak pushed you to learn self-respect and self-love. Or maybe failure taught you humility, perseverance, and the value of effort over outcome. The truth is, no one escapes hardship. The question isn't whether life will knock you down. It will. The question is, will you rise? Every time you do, you become stronger, more resilient, more unshakable. To the Stoics, setbacks were not misfortunes but opportunities, sparring matches for the soul. Epictetus, a philosopher who was born a slave and crippled for life, spoke often of this perspective. Difficulties, he said, show what men are. Therefore, when a difficulty falls upon you, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a rough young man. Why? So that you may become an Olympic conqueror. But it is not accomplished without sweat. This idea, that challenges our exercises in character building, shifts the entire way we view adversity. What if every hardship in your life was seen not as a punishment, but as a custom-designed workout for your soul? What if every fall were a lesson in learning how to rise? Resilience does not mean ignoring pain. The Stoics never taught us to suppress our emotions or deny the reality of suffering. Pain is real. Loss hurts. Failure stings. But what they did teach is that pain is not the end of the story. Pain is a beginning, a signal that something in you is being tested, stretched, or broken open to reveal a deeper truth. Marcus Aurelius, in his quiet meditations written amidst wars and personal grief, reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is not separate from the path. It is the path. Resilience is about seeing adversity not as something to avoid, but as something to engage with, to learn from, and to grow through. Real resilience is forged in the crucible of life's greatest challenges. Consider a tree growing on a windswept cliff. Unlike the trees in a sheltered valley, this tree has had to fight for every inch of its survival. The wind has bent its branches, the storms have battered its roots, and yet it stands, gnarled, yes, but unbroken. Its roots are deeper, its trunk is tougher, its ability to survive far greater than the trees that have known only gentle breezes. This is you. Life's storms may batter you, but every storm deepens your roots. Every trial strengthens your core. When you embrace resilience, you are not just surviving, you are thriving in conditions where others might wither. Resilience, however, does not happen by accident. It requires deliberate effort. The Stoics believe that we must prepare ourselves for adversity before it strikes. Seneca advised, "It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times. While fortune is bestowing favors on it, then is a time for it to be strengthened against her rebuffs." This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, is a mental exercise in imagining worst-case scenarios. By mentally rehearsing hardships, the Stoics believed we could reduce their sting and develop the strength to endure them. Imagine preparing for a storm by reinforcing your home. You don't wait until the winds are howling and the rain is pouring to secure your doors and windows. In the same way, resilience is built before the storm comes, through deliberate reflection and mental discipline. But what about those moments when the storm hits unexpectedly? When the loss is too great, the betrayal too painful, or the failure too overwhelming? Even then, the Stoics remind us that resilience is always within reach. The key lies in shifting our focus from what we cannot control to what we can. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the Stoic dichotomy of control. External events are beyond our power, but our reactions to them are entirely ours. By focusing on how we choose to respond, we reclaim our agency. We stop being victims of circumstance and start being authors of our own resilience. This principle is deeply relevant in daily life. Imagine losing a promotion at work that you worked tirelessly for. The initial sting is sharp, a mixture of disappointment, frustration, and maybe even anger. But resilience is not about suppressing those feelings. It is about acknowledging them, then redirecting your energy toward what you can control. Perhaps you use the setback as an opportunity to reassess your goals, to develop new skills, or to prove your worth in other ways. Each of these responses strengthens your ability to bounce back. Resilience doesn't mean pretending the fall didn't happen. It means refusing to let the fall define you. And resilience isn't just about surviving. It's about transforming. The Stoics believe that adversity, when faced with courage and wisdom, has the power to refine us. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who has never faced adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." This may seem counterintuitive. Why would anyone welcome hardship? But think about it. The moments in your life that tested you the most are often the same moments that taught you the most. They revealed strengths you didn't know you had. They clarified what truly matters. They shaped you into the person you are today. In this way, adversity becomes not a curse, but a gift, a mirror reflecting your growth. So, the next time life knocks you down, remember this: you are not the same person who fell. You are stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You are the tree on the windswept cliff, rooted deeply, standing tall. Comment rise if you've ever come back stronger after a fall. And get ready. Next, we'll discuss a kind of strength that most people overlook: emotional control. Emotional control is strength. In a world that constantly bombards us with distractions, provocations, and emotional triggers, maintaining control over your emotions is nothing short of a superpower. It's easy to react, to lash out in anger, to sink into despair, to let fear paralyze us. But the Stoics teach that true strength lies not in reacting, but in responding. Emotional control is not about denying your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing them, understanding their origins, and choosing how to act in spite of them. Marcus Aurelius, writing from the battlefield of life as much as from the literal fields of war, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the Stoic ideal: to master the inner world so completely that no external force can rob you of your peace. To remain calm in the storm, not because the storm isn't real, but because you've made yourself unshakable. Think about the last time someone tested your patience. Perhaps it was an irritable co-worker, a stranger cutting you off in traffic, or even a loved one saying something hurtful. In that moment, your emotions likely surged. Anger, frustration, maybe even sadness bubbled up, demanding to be expressed. But then there was another part of you, quieter but persistent, that urged restraint. Did you listen to it, or did you let the heat of the moment take over? If you managed to stay calm, to breathe, to respond with thoughtfulness instead of raw emotion, then you've already touched on what the Stoics saw as one of the highest forms of strength. Because when you master your emotions, you're not just avoiding an outburst, you're reclaiming your power. The Stoics understood emotions not as enemies, but as forces that could either control us or be controlled by us. They did not advocate for suppression. Far from it. Suppression is a brittle kind of strength, like a dam holding back a rushing river. Eventually, it cracks. Instead, they taught us to channel emotions, to transform them into something useful. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his emotions." Think about the truth of that statement. How often have your emotions hijacked your day, robbing you of focus, peace, or even joy? Anger, left unchecked, can lead to regret. Fear, allowed to linger, can paralyze you. Sadness, when left to fester, can cloud your judgment. But when you control your emotions, when you choose how to feel and act, you're no longer a slave. You're free. The ability to master emotions isn't just about avoiding chaos. It's about gaining clarity. Imagine you're a ship's captain navigating through a storm. Panic doesn't calm the waves or steady the sails. It only ensures disaster. The same is true of your emotions. When you let anger or fear take the wheel, your life veers off course. But when you remain calm, you can see clearly. You can plot your course and make decisions that align with your goals and values. This is why the Stoics place such emphasis on emotional control. It allows you to stay aligned with your purpose, even in the face of chaos. But let's be honest, controlling your emotions is hard. It's one thing to stay calm when everything is going smoothly. It's another thing entirely when life tests you. Imagine a parent dealing with a screaming toddler after a long day at work, or someone receiving harsh criticism at a job they poured their heart into. These moments are challenging because they tap into deep vulnerabilities, our need for rest, our desire for validation, our pride. And yet, these moments are also where emotional control shines brightest. By choosing not to lash out, not to crumble, not to let the moment define you, you demonstrate a strength that is rare and remarkable. As Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them." In choosing your judgment, you reclaim your calm. So the next time someone or something tests your patience, remember this. Emotional control is not about suppressing who you are. It's about becoming who you are meant to be. It's about choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and strength over impulse. Comment calm if you've ever chosen peace over chaos. But stay tuned. What's even more powerful than mastering yourself? Guiding others to strength. You've seen how endurance, authenticity, resilience, and emotional mastery define strength. But the ultimate form of power is how you use it to elevate others. Let's uncover the final and most profound sign of strength. Guiding others with your strength. True strength, as the Stoics taught, is not measured by how much you can achieve for yourself, but by how much you can give to others. It is not enough to cultivate resilience, emotional control, and courage for your own sake. The highest expression of strength lies in using it to uplift others. This is where your strength becomes transformative, where it stops being solely about survival or personal growth and becomes a force of collective good. Seneca captured this beautifully when he wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart and the desire to repay the kindnesses one has received." For the Stoics, strength is a gift entrusted to you not to hoard, but to share, because only by sharing it does it fulfill its highest purpose. Think about the people in your life who have leaned on you during their most difficult moments. Maybe it was a friend grieving a loss, a family member struggling with self-doubt, or a colleague overwhelmed by stress. In those moments, you weren't just strong for yourself, you were strong for them, and that strength meant everything. You became their anchor in the storm, a steady presence they could rely on when everything else felt uncertain. The Stoics believed this wasn't just a kind thing to do, it was your duty. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." We are all interconnected, and our strength gains meaning when it serves others. Strength isn't about lifting weights, it's about lifting yourself and others through life's heaviest moments. You now know the 5 signs of unshakable strength. Recognize them in yourself, cultivate them, and let them guide you to a life of purpose and resilience. If this video resonated, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Comment "I am Stoic" to declare your commitment to inner power. Together, let's grow stronger every day.